Oh, so close for Carson, Hocevar, and William Byron, but Denny Hamlin takes the win in Michigan. But before that even happened, Dodge, or Ram, I should say, made it official. So let's get into it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good this evening. Well, Denny Hamlin gets win number 3 on the season, does it in Michigan, a place he hadn't won at in quite some time. His 3rd win of the season, but his 57th win of his career, which puts him in 11th place all time, and makes him the driver without a championship that has won the most races, further solidifying his Hall of Fame first ballot, first opportunity that he gets. He's going into the Hall of Fame. So his storied career continues. And even in the post-race, he acknowledged that he is making a push to go for 60 wins. So that 60-win threshold right on the horizon. And even when pressed by Danielle K. Trotta, will he get it done this season? Denny Hamlin didn't back away from it and said, hey, it's possible. I think we can do it. So he's feeling really good about his chances this season. And I mentioned 3 wins. He joins 2 other drivers this season that have 3 wins in Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell. So those 3 for sure have to be your early favorites to make it to the Final Four to get their championship in this playoff format. And I think 2 other guys who you can add to that list that have shown speed every weekend but might not always get the results that they want to show for them are, of course, William Byron and Ryan Blaney, who once again had trouble today. Ryan Blaney, but the consistency doesn't matter. Ryan Blaney, once again, well, actually, we'll get at that when we get to the bad race. However, to win this race, he had to save some fuel, and it's been quite some time since we've seen, or at least it's not as often as it happens, but a lot of these Michigan races ended up being fuel-saving races, but it's been quite some time since I can remember a Michigan race coming down to fuel mileage. Pocono used to be the same way, and Denny Hamlin excelled at those type of races. But with this stage format, we don't, as often as we used to, get the strategy of a fuel-saving race, but we did today. So it was, I don't want to see, obviously, a fuel-saving race every single weekend, but it was nice to have a race where fuel and strategy and things like that had to be considered in this one. Another concern coming into this race was tire wear. We did see a few tire issues, which we'll get to in just a moment, but not as many as we thought we would. So there was tire fall off, there was tire wear, and some guys did blister the tire, but the tire concerns earlier in the weekend during practice and stuff like that were not necessarily as big a deal during the actual race itself. Speaking of which, let's take a look at who had a good race. Denny Hamlin, of course, gets the win. Chris Buescher, who was disappointed, said he had a car fast enough to beat Denny Hamlin, but the driver didn't execute, ends up finishing in 2nd place at a track that Ford typically dominates, but now 2 in a row. Last year, Tyler Reddick. This year, Denny Hamlin, his car owner for Toyota. Previously, Ford had won, I think, since 2018, if I remember correctly. Ty Gibbs here with a 3rd place finish, so the Ty Gibbs is having a slump or whatever. He continues to post some good races from time to time, but obviously didn't get off to the start he wanted. Good recovery from Bubba Wallace as well, who had some trouble early on. He recovers to a 4th place finish. Kyle Larson said he never really got on the throttle all the way in the last after the last pit stop in the race because he was in a full-on fuel save mode. As I mentioned earlier, this was a fuel strategy race. 6 through 10 is going to be Ross Chastain, who once again had a good finish. He made his car better and better throughout the race. Didn't necessarily start off the way he wanted it to start off, but in true typical form for him and that team this season, just continued to make the car better and better, making all of the right adjustments. Zane Smith continues to run well at Michigan. I think he had a 10th here in his last trip. Gets a 7th place this time, so improving on that in the Long John Silver's Ford. Good run for Zane Smith. Kyle Busch needed a good run. He finally had bumped himself above the cut line. We'll talk about the points here in just a minute. But the 8th place finish, just what he needed. Ryan Preece, who he's challenging for in one of those playoff spots, gets the 9th place finish, and Brad Keselowski in 10th. 2 RFK Fords, all 3 RFK Fords, I should say, in the top 10. Eric Jones and Legacy continue their turnaround with the 11th place finish. Josh Berry with a 12th place finish, continuing his nice season since joining the Wood Brothers. Tyler Reddick in 13th. Daniel Suarez in 14th. One of those drivers I mentioned earlier that had the tire blister, he does recover to a 14th place finish. And 15th place for Chase Elliott, and that's what I want to talk about real quick. Chase Elliott, kind of 15th place, not bad, but he at one point was leading this race Looked like he was going to be super aggressive, did everything he needed to do to get up to the fronts, and unfortunately it looked like they missed the pit call. A few drivers stayed out on one of those pit stops while some other drivers came in, and this was something that Chase Elliott never really recovered from, because they did get a caution later on, and Chase Elliott, knowing he wouldn't be able to make it on fuel, came in, one of the only cars I think during that one that came in, got tires, got fuel, and was able to work his way back up to 20th pretty quick, but after that never could really get away from that 20th area, so went from basically controlling the race to a position where he never could get back up to the front. So the pit strategy there, I think, cost Chase Elliott, but other than that, he actually was having a good race, and to see him aggressive on those restarts was a good thing, because restarts has been something this year that has really been an Achilles heel for him and the 9 team, as well as pit road. And with that smooth transition into bad race, his teammate William Byron, who had this race in control at numerous points, did win stage 2. Once again, though, William Byron coming up short after a very, just a great day, really, honestly, but ends up in 28th. He ran out of fuel, had to come into the pits with about 2 laps to go or so, get that fuel, get topped off, ends up in 28th place. So once again, a great race and nothing to show for it. Another guy right below him in 29th there, Carson Hocevar, had an absolutely great race going. Unfortunately, cut that left rear tire, but in a week where just a lot of people were chirping and talking about Carson Hocevar, like, oh my God, you know, this, that, and the other thing. Carson Hocevar, he's the most aggressive driver out there. He's Ross Chastain 2.0. That's all you heard all week. Well, Carson Hocevar came here today and responded. He drove a clean race. You didn't really see him run over anybody or anything like that, and he ran a very hard race as well. Was very aggressive, still a very fun driver to watch. Didn't get into anybody, but still raced aggressively and was in the lead when he cut that tire. Just a great race overall. Unfortunately, the cut tire ends up making it a bad race, but I think he responded overall if it wasn't for the bad luck. He did respond overall to the criticism this week, so shout out to Carson Hocevar for answering the bell. Then also, of course, some other drivers in here of note. Ryan Blaney finishing in 32nd, continues his trend of when he finishes races, he finishes well, and always has speed at every single racetrack, like I was mentioning in the beginning there, but does he get the finishes? Unfortunately, with a lot of bad luck this season as well. But in the playoffs, that doesn't matter. You do not have to be consistent. You just have to win at the right time. John Hunter Nemechek, after a strong start to the season, has been in a very much a slump here. 34th finish here, and now nowhere near the top 16 in points, where he was above the cut line for at least the first 3 or 4 races of this season. And then Alex Bowman ends up finishing dead last here, and that's really going to hurt his chances at the playoffs unless he can get a win. In fact, only one Hendrick car, so kind of a bad week for Hendrick. Only one Hendrick car in the top 10 there. That doesn't happen too often, to be sure. So kind of a bad day for Hendrick. Just didn't get the finishes they wanted from the speed that they had out of those race cars. All right, so that was your race and that was your finishing order. But before the race even started, Dodge, or I should say Ram, the truck brand that formerly was part of Dodge, they split it up. It's just the Ram brand now. Ram announced before the race that they will be truck racing next season. Unfortunately, that is about all they gave us, other than the Hemi will be in the truck, and they're sorry that they took the Hemi away. It was a mistake. Tim Kuniskis was there, and other than that, though, not too much about it. In fact, this was the official statement from Tim Kuniskis and Ram Communications team. There will be more details on our NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series program later this year, added Kuniskis. We are undoubtedly having fun with this project, and I truly look forward to sharing information on our team and how getting back on track relates to the future of Ram performance. So there you go. Today's announcement was basically just that, the announcement that they will be back in the truck series. So there you go, 4th manufacturer confirmed by said manufacturer finally, probably the worst kept secret. Unfortunately, we still don't know who's going to be the driver. We still don't know who's going to be the team, so on and so forth. So that will continue to fuel the speculation and fire around this announcement, but it is at least official. We no longer have to speculate that Ram will be coming to the truck series. Now we can start speculating about when Dodge will come to the Cup series. All right, and before we get out of here, quick look at the points standings. Regular season standings, William Byron still leads Kyle Larson by 40-something points there, and Denny Hamlin is in 3rd place. That is just your regular season points, so who would get the bonus points for winning the regular season title, and you can see the rest of the contenders there, Bell, Elliott, and Reddick. However, if you want to look at the playoff picture, here is the playoff picture. You see all the winners there on the left. Then Chase Elliott, the first driver that hasn't won, at plus 142, sitting in good position. But here at the cutoff line, it gets interesting. Tied for 16th place is Kyle Busch and Ryan Preece, who finished right beside each other in this race. Sort of flipped that graphic right there. Kyle Busch finished one spot in front of Preece. But a huge battle here at the cut line. Alex Bowman only plus 13 after his terrible day here today. And then Carson Hocevar minus 18. AJ Allmendinger and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. minus 18 and minus 20. So there you go. Playoff battle starting to heat up here. We will see how it all plays out going into it. But that's all I got for you on this one. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. And until the next one, peace.